Hume begins part 4 by arguing that all knowledge degenerates into probability due to the possibility of error. Even the rock solid certainty of mathematics becomes less than certain when we remember that we might have made a mistake somewhere. But things get worse. Reflection on the fallibility of our mind, and meta reflection on the fallibility of this first reflection, and so on ad infinitum, ultimately reduces probability into total skepticism, or at least it would if our beliefs were governed by the understanding alone. But according to Hume, this extinction of belief does not actually happen. Having beliefs is part of human nature, which only confirms Hume's account of belief as more properly an act of the sensitive than of the cognitive part of our natures. And as for why we do not sink into total skepticism, Hume argues that the mind has a limited quantity of force and activity, and that difficult and abstruse reasoning strains the imagination, hindering the regular flowing of the passions and sentiments. As a result, extremely subtle skeptical argumentation is unable to overpower and destroy our beliefs. Next comes an extremely lengthy account of why we believe in an external physical world. That is, why we think objects have a continued and distinct existence. Hume considers three potential sources of this belief: the senses, reason, and the imagination. It is not the senses. Clearly, they are incapable of informing us of anything existing unobserved, nor can they inform us of objects with distinct existence. The senses present us with sense perceptions only, which means they cannot present them as representations of some further objects, nor present them as themselves objects with distinct existence, for the senses are unable to identify the mysterious self, distinguishing it from and comparing it with sense perceptions. Nor is it reason. Even children and fools believe in an external world, and nearly all of us naively take our perceptions to be objects with a continued and distinct existence, which goes against reason. So this belief must come from the imagination. But only some of our impressions bring about the belief, namely impressions with constancy, that is, invariableness in appearance over time, and coherence, that is, regularity in changing appearances. Thus, Hume proceeds to develop an account of how the imagination, fed with coherent and constant impressions, brings about belief in objects with continued and therefore distinct existence. Given coherent impressions, we have only one way of accounting for our observations consistently with past experience. We form the supposition that certain objects exist unperceived. And since this supposes more regularity than is found in past observation, causal reasoning alone cannot explain it. Thus, Hume invokes the imagination's tendency to continue in any train of thinking inertially, like a galley put in motion by the oars. But to explain so vast an edifice as the continued existence of all external bodies, Hume finds it necessary to bring constancy into his account, as follows. Identity is characterized as invariableness and uninterruptedness over time. Since the mind tends to confuse closely resembling ideas, it will naturally confuse a case of interrupted observation of an invariable object with a case of perfect identity. This combination of perfect identity and interrupted observation creates cognitive dissonance, which is resolved by fabricating continued existence. And this fiction is enlivened into a full-fledged belief by the memory's lively impressions of the observed object. But this naive belief in the continued and distinct existence of our perceptions is false, as is easily shown by simple observations. Philosophers therefore distinguish mental perceptions from external objects. But Hume argues this philosophical system of a double existence could never arise directly from reason or the imagination. Instead, it is the monstrous offspring of two principles, that is, our naive belief in the continued and distinct existence of our perceptions, along with our more reflective conclusion that perceptions must depend upon the mind. It is only by passing through the naive natural belief that the imagination fabricates this arbitrarily invented philosophical system. Hume ends by voicing strong doubts about any system based on such trivial qualities of the fancy, and recommending carelessness and inattention as the only remedy for skepticism.